in the cloud once.
Cool.
We'll find out.
All right. Well, welcome. So yeah, the blog, it's going to move to, it is in its own repo. And I wanted to review that with you because it's going to affect your workflow. There's going to be a different repo where you're going to post your blog posts along with the deployment process. So I have an agenda that I linked to in our meeting. Up at the top, that's the link to the repo. And just a general summary is the repo, it still uses middleman, and essentially it's just a content repo that includes just the blog posts and the blog post images. Everything else is copied over from the www repo during the build process that goes into building the rest of the blog parts. So that means anything from like page layout to design, JavaScript, all of that is still going to happen in the www repo. So this repo is going to be just for editing and creating your blog posts, which I hope is good for you guys.
That is amazing news. I have a question. Are you migrating existing blog posts and blog post images, or okay, this is not just for net new stuff? Yeah.
Oh no. Yes, it pulls over all of the past blog posts, and it actually pulls over all of the Git commit history also, because there's a lot of really valuable information that goes along with the blog post as to what was changed, who changed it, when. And that was something Sid said was very important when splitting these, is to keep all of that Git history intact. So that is going to happen. You can see in that demo repo, I've done an initial sync of the history. And I did that last week. So it isn't up to date with all of the stuff you've done since then. The URLs are going to remain unchanged. So there's no URL change, content repository, middleman. So that's the first part.
So does that mean that there's also no impact on like Google Analytics?
There shouldn't, nope. Yeah, there shouldn't be any impact. Yeah. Cool. So instead of having one instance of middleman build everything and deploy it to the server, we just have 2 instances. And it's still all getting deployed to the same server, same website. So in the eyes of the web server, nothing's changing. It's just the back end of how that stuff gets there. I've linked to my first shot at, I call it the D-Day schedule. So when it actually comes to deploy, hopefully everything's like, I just cut and paste a bunch of commands. The biggest thing is I'm gonna need a content lock from the blog team for about 3 hours, where there's no editing of blog posts, there's no publishing, and that is so that we can make sure that everything's synced over to the new repository. Is that doable for you guys?
If it's on this Sunday, December 1st, like we don't habitually publish over the weekends. It's possible that some people within GitLab choose to work on posts of their own volition over a weekend, you know, just as like sometimes developers, they're working on a side project and they might be writing about it. Is that something that would affect it, or is it just like publishing and like editing existing posts?
Yeah, so Sunday, well, that's Thanksgiving weekend. I could do it then. I know Monday is Cyber Monday, and you guys are probably pushing content out on Cyber Monday.
Sorry, I had this as Sunday, December 1st. That's after Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that same Thanksgiving weekend.
Sorry, I'm muddled because it's not my holiday.
Yeah,
you're right. It's the
Thursday,
28th.
Saturday,
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm not gonna do it on the Sunday. I could do it on a Monday, but that's Cyber Monday, and
I think that Friday would probably be better, because I think that's when we tried to publish less, maybe like a Friday afternoon going into a Saturday. And I think if we communicate it enough, like it's a reasonable expectation to tell everybody, like, you cannot do anything on the blog on this day. And we say it like every day for a week and a half, and on Slack. And
I'm more worried about someone doing it inadvertently, having missed that communication somehow, and that then throwing off your whole process. I think it's absolutely reasonable to tell people not to publish or work on stuff for 3 hours. But
I mean, they can do
I know
it. They'll just lose their work. They'll lose their work.
Well, that's fine. If that's the worst thing that happens, then I think that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that you're not going to be impacted by someone who's like, oh, I didn't see it.
No, I won't be impacted. They'll be impacted.
Okay, that's fine. I think, well, then looking at, I mean, I think a Friday is probably a good call. There's nothing currently scheduled for Friday the 6th. Oh no, but Todd wants this to happen before December 1st.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah, and unfortunately, let me open my calendar. I'm out of office the next week, and I really don't want to deploy it and then bounce.
Yeah, smart.
That would leave Brendan hanging.
Yeah.
So then we'd be looking more like at the end of December, or we do it on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Which is
it's coming up really quickly. So that'll be a push, or we push it back.
So I mean, there's a chance, like I will be back in London. I can always, if there's something scheduled for that day, I can just publish it in my morning, and then you then have the rest of the day for those time zones. And then we just need to communicate like that there's a blackout on publishing to the blog for the rest of that day. And people can just wait.
Okay, so does December 3rd work?
It works for me.
Put that as a target. Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'll keep, I'll push for that. It'd be, yeah, I'd like to get it up and running. That would be awesome. Once it launches, that means that blog posting is going to happen in the new repo. It's same structure. For you guys, for planning out your blog posts, I think that's all done in a work group, right? For content publishing.
This is where Erica, you may have more insight, but I think you're more of a power user of GitLab's project management capabilities than me. We currently have an issue board in the www.gitlab.com project because the blog posts are published to that project or within that project or however that works, but that's why those issues live in that project, because then the merge request you create is associated with that issue. It gets closed automatically. Like I'm open to adjusting that workflow to accommodate this move, but I'm just not sure how it's impacted. So would we want to create our issues in this project now, or is this just a separate
I don't think so, because we wouldn't deploy it for like www.gitlab.com is connected to the website repo. I don't think you could connect a project to 2 different repos.
Okay, that's definitely something we want to look into.
Yeah, we probably just create a new project for the editorial team.
Okay.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, we just want to make sure that the issues being created where we plan the work can be tied to the merge requests where they get published in the same way it exists now. So you can, auto create a merge request from an issue in the www.gitlab.com.
Yeah, so that would happen in the new repo.
Yeah.
We probably want to bring that history over also that you guys have done and keep it all intact. Okay.
Yes.
All the issues we need to pull over should be tagged with a blog post label. So finding them wouldn't be difficult. I don't know how we actually do that, but.
Okay.
I think we've done this before. There used to be a separate project for blog posts. It was still connect, we still published using the main website repo, but we used to have a separate project. And I think at one point, Erica, you and I just migrated them all over manually, but there may be a simpler way of doing that, just using the label.
I want to say there's a way to filter by label and bulk move issues, but there's a potential that I've made that capability yet. But something inside of me feels like there is that capability. So
Okay.
I'll look at, I think JJ would know.
Yeah. I'll touch base we should touch base with JJ also. I think she's would be a great resource for that. Because we don't want to do it manually. There's too much to do manually.
It would be hundreds of issues,
Yeah. That was my next question. What's going to be the content issue? Okay, blog images. I actually just asked this with Sid. He had that MVC session yesterday, and he answered my question for me, but I'm going to bring the blog images over during the same launch. So, and then I'm going to also need to update all of the documentation. So I think in that issue, have targeted the page that's going to need thorough updating. But if you guys have any more information as to where documentation is going to need to be updated as to where you edit and create blog posts, please put it in that issue so that we can make sure we get the handbook updated accordingly.
Time for me to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Time for me to ask the requisite dumb question, which is, what does this mean in terms of how specifically Sarah and I sort of working locally on the terminal, sort of, is any of that going to change?
Yeah.
I just added the question at the bottom. I expect we need to clone this repository now where, and I guess if you're wanting to make handbook updates, you then need to switch between those two repositories if you're editing locally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So we may need some help with that. Just like I haven't cloned the website project in 3 years. Someone help me do it. The instructions may exist somewhere in the handbook, but I think, yes, the 3 of us will need to get that squared away.
So I followed the same strategy that the docs site uses, where they clone multiple projects into a single directory and create symlinks. So for common resources, for example, this would be like your layouts and your includes. You're still pulling from the www repo, so there's a single source of truth. But in order to run the blog, you're going to need to have both repos in the same directory. So you'll have one directory for GitLab, and underneath it, you'll have the www repo, and then you'll also have the blog repo. And they'll both need to be running at the same time in order to view it locally. So there is, in terms of local development, it's going to be some extra steps.
Do those instructions exist somewhere
Yes,
that you could share with us, Lauren?
They sure do. If you go to the repo, I've been working on the README, and it has all of those instructions for setting that up.
I have a quick question, and I can write it down. So Val and I have both been having trouble with our local host and previewing the website. And we met with William Chia to try and fix it. And like, since that meeting, Val, an update for you, it's completely broken and no longer works. It of course cooperated in that meeting when we were trying to troubleshoot, but now it's still like, I tried to make it work today and it doesn't work. So I just am concerned if we're running a middleman with these like commands that you showed us, like we're going to be in big trouble if that's still like even more broken. And we're not able to view the site. So, because we've been trying to troubleshoot this like on and off for months.
And my situation is actually catastrophic because mine is even more broken than Sarah's, if that's possible to believe. I've reached new levels of badly broken. So that the concern for the quick time of this is we probably would be good to resolve that, I guess.
Yeah, we should get that fixed. Because this setup, it does add another layer of complexity to your local setup, for sure.
Lauren, you might know more than us here, but my suggestion to Val was that maybe they need to move away from using Docker and just have, like, I have just a pure local development environment, someone else set up for me. Occasionally I run into trouble, but usually someone is able to help me out pretty quickly. But with Val and Sarah's Docker setup, it just seems to be more complex. It's supposed to make it more simple, but their problems are much harder to troubleshoot. And I wonder if that's something that would help.
I do not use Docker for running the site locally. So
that's what William said too. He doesn't use Docker, so he wasn't really able to help us as much. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Erica.
No, I'm just like shocked actually how you even got on Docker.
That's what the instructions John created these instructions, they're like GitLab 102 or something that Val and Sarah were following.
But only to find out, let me just end that process though, only to find out that John ultimately has abandoned Docker because it worked for 2 months for him, sort of like it did for Sarah and me. And then he's now not doing that anymore because it didn't work. So I don't know.
You bury the lead, Val.
So maybe what we need to do, because I haven't worked locally for a while, honestly. I need to update all my stuff too. Maybe we can have a session where we just all do it together and we all just set it up the same way, which is the way the handbook, I think.
Okay.
Says to do it. And then nobody's on a special, like, it just sounds so advanced that you're running in Docker.
Yeah. And I need to find that place in the handbook where that documentation is, because I've been using the READMEs that are in the repo to make sure that documentation is synced. Based off of that, I think we should move the deployment to the end of December. Because I don't want to, no, it's fine. That, because I want to make sure that you guys can still do your work and that I don't totally blow everything up.
Well, and actually at the end of December might be better because so many people do take vacation, so the likelihood of somebody like missing the announcements and trying to do something to the blog will be much lower.
Yeah.
So
okay, this makes sense. My heart sinks, but I think it's the smart move.
Yeah, and I don't want to launch this and then leave for a week. I think that would be more catastrophic to rush it, you know? Okay, but let's get another session set up where we get you guys all running locally with this setup. And
yeah, I'm sorry to break your hearts. I don't know how we broke our machines.
It's fine.
I think the answer is that Docker is the responsible party here.
We're gonna get you off Docker. Are you guys all on Catalina, or are you still on whatever the previous one was, Mojave?
I upgraded.
I'm updated.
I don't think I am updated.
I didn't. I was afraid to.
Okay.
Yeah, I have enough problems without breaking one more thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably all want to be on we'll probably all want to be on Catalina when we go through the setup.
I'm on Mojave. Why can't I talk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Same here. I haven't updated yet either. So, but that will so they'll release all starting with the same operating system. Definitely. And I will test that process multiple times myself so that I can hopefully get the instructions really clear. And then when I run it through with you guys, we can update it to make it even more clear for people like you. Because the way that I'll write it might not be as clear. So, okay. So run through setup process. Any other questions?
I was wondering about permissions for merging to this project. Does this mean that we start like afresh with just granting individuals merge permissions? Okay, that's like we'll just need, Erica, maybe you and I just need to talk through kind of who needs access to that, so that we're like controlling but also not blocking people as well.
Yeah, this is actually a really good opportunity to think through that. And I'm thinking like unfiltered. We don't want to block people from being able to continue to do that, but maybe we have like unfiltered mergers or something like that. Yeah, let's talk about it. I personally am in favor though of not just giving blanket merge access to everybody.
Yeah, and I'm just looking right now, since we're in the .com group, it looks like everyone's a member. So we'll want to make sure that that doesn't correlate back to the other one. But it's its own separate repo, so you should be able to configure it however you want. And I'll make you guys maintainers of it so you can start working on that. Cool.
So do we need to like pick a deploy date now? We just said the end of December.
I think we should. Yeah.
What's that day?
What is that day? Oh gosh. The 20th would work for me.
It works for me. I will be driving on that day.
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't need to be online for
okay.
the deployment. It's just the content lock that's the big thing. I could probably do it on the 27th also.
Either of those works for me. I guess it's more for you. I imagine a lot of people will be out that week of the 27th, and maybe that's useful, but also like if you need support on something, you might want to think about who's around to.
Alejandro is going to help me with deployment. So he works on the infrastructure team and has helped with setting up the review apps, and will help us setting up staging and it actually deploying to the real server. So I need to work with him to make sure he's around for it also.
So do we want to say like either the 20th or 27th, and then once you have a chance to confirm with him, you can let us know?
Yeah.
Because I do want to like communicate this a lot. So actually having this long timeline is good.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. I think that'll be advantageous too, since it is around the holiday, so there will be less updates to the site around then anyways.
Okay.
And that means that I think next week, well, that's Thanksgiving, we should get a meeting on the books for that first week of December, where we can get you guys all set up locally. Definitely an hour-long meeting. Hopefully shorter, but
minimum.
But maybe an hour and a half. Yeah.
It will be rough.
Yeah, you know, we'll come to the meeting fresh with like lots of coffee.
We'll leave just on our fainting couches.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to cry, so let's just face it.
I'm so excited.
That means we all have to update to Catalina from then.
Okay.
Me, myself included. So I will be going through that same world of
Pinky
hurt
promise.
also. Yeah. Cool. Great. I think it'll be awesome though once it launches. You guys will have your own repo. It means it's its own pipeline that's independent from the www repo. Right now it takes 5 minutes. So you hit merge and it's up in 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd see the day.
I cannot even believe it.
Yeah.
So exciting.
It'll be good. And then we can really start adding separate microservices to this repo that's just for blogging, which will be really great without having to deal with the rest of the site. So good stuff.
Awesome. So exciting.
Yes, very excited.
Cool. Okay. I'll get that meeting on the books. We'll try to find a part that works in our schedule. And yeah. And I'll make sure that you guys have maintainer access to the repo so you can start setting up permissions accordingly.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. That's all I have.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.